Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Google Classroom to create a class, add students to your class, add a co-teacher, and invite parents. So as you can see right now, I am on my Google Classroom and I have multiple classes already in place, but I want to add a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this plus sign up here and I'm going to click it. Now I have the option to either join a class or create one. So right now I'm going to create a class. Now, the only section here that you need to worry about and is required is the actual class name. Every other part on this create a class option is to make your class more refined, especially if you have a certain section or a certain period that you're doing this class, the subject, the room number. A lot of these really pertain to middle school and high school, or if you switch classes as well. So, right now, I'm just going to put in demo class and I'm going to click create. Now, once it's created, it is going to bring me right into the class. And so you'll notice some different features that I'm going to point out to you right off the bat. Okay, so if you'll notice that we have a few pages in our class. We have the stream, which is a lot like a Facebook kind of feel. When you want to post something, everything that you put goes to the top, and everything that's older is at the bottom. Um, we have the classwork page, which is what I love to use, which organizes all of your info that you need for the kids. You can put titles on things, assignments, materials, all of that. The next part is people. That is where you would add your classes, your and your co-teachers, and also grades as well. And this is where you can keep track of your grades that you have on your Google Classroom. So just looking at the stream, you'll notice you can create an announcement here and all of that. You'll notice that the class code is up here, and we'll speak a little bit more about that in a little bit. But you'll notice that we have a select the theme or an upload. But you can select the theme just to make it more personalized. If there's something better that you like, you can click it and you can select it. If you happen to have a video photo that you really like to put on here to make it more personalized for the group, you could do that as well. Okay, I like to go right into classwork. Now, here is what's great about this is that you can create assignments and questions. You can use topics and organize classwork into modules or units, or you can work the way you want, and work it so your students can see. You can put it in any order that you choose. Um, Anything that you make in here does go into a class Google Drive uh, folder, which is great, so it's easy to find. And anything that you want to add a due date for does pop up on a Google Calendar, which is also sent to your students so they know what things are due. So if I wanted to just do something right here, I'm going to click create. Okay. And if you notice, I have different things here. That is, I can create an assignment. I can create a quiz, question, materials, or if I happen to have something, I can reuse a post, especially if it's a kind of a similar class and I just have to tweak a few things. And I also can create topics for my class. Okay. Moving on to students, what you could do is you can click. There's two ways that you can do this. You can give the students the code to do it themselves once they get on Google Classroom instead of create the join, and they can post that right on your screen, the code that you need, or you can add them individually. And if I was to press the plus, it does populate certain kids. So, for example, if you happen to have certain kids, anybody with a 29 will pop up, and you can click them individually if you choose to do that. Okay. As well as teachers. If you want to invite a teacher, all I would do is add teacher, and I would start putting in their information, and I can click and add teachers as well to my class. What I suggest is that I like to have my stuff already in place on classwork, especially my first assignment, before I start adding students to the class, because I feel that once they're in the class, in order to give them kind of instructions, you want to have kind of like your backbone kind of laid out. Um, another thing that we need to discuss is inviting parents. Now, if you go up to the gear up here to the class settings, you'll notice that there's different options here. You can switch your sections again if you'd like to. You also have your class code here, which you can change if you need to. The stream is a very interesting part here. You have students can post or comment. You can change that to students can only comment or only you can post and comment. So it kind of keeps that feed from kids from like putting things there and you have to moderate it as well. Okay. You can also have an option to show deleted items. Only teachers can view this. Okay. And then this is where it has Guardian summaries. If I was to click this on, okay, it says add class to Guardian emails. You can get a summary of how your kids are doing, how students are doing through email. So, for example, if a student is missing your writing assignment that you posted on your Google Classroom, their parents would get a summary for that week. So, let's take a look at what it might look like. Okay. So if you notice, this is kind of like a weekly summary for this boy named Felix. His U.S. history was due on July 26th, and this was missing. That tells you what's due next week, and a brief description of it. So it kind of gives a guardian of that student basically an idea of what's coming up in class. Another way to look at here is we also have grading calculations. We can grade no grades or all. We can do total points. We can have weighted categories. You can learn more about it here. You can show the overall grade of the student, or you can add grade categories to your settings here, which is wonderful. Okay, so I'm just going to discard that. If you're interested in having guardians have summaries of what the students are doing in class and what is due and what's missing, this is where you would be able to invite guardians to the classroom. So, what I'm going to do is because this is a demo class and I do not have any students in this class, I'm going to go to one of my other classes so you can see how it looks. So once I'm on a regular class, and if I hit on people and I click on one of the students, you'll notice it says email all guardians. I can click right here and type the email address that the parent has given me in order to invite them to the Google Classroom. Now, what that does is when guardians join Classroom, they'll receive regular automated email summaries for each of their children's. Um, the summaries will include missing work, upcoming work, class activities if you happen to have them on there. So that is how the parents are part of the Google Classroom. They are not able to, submit any work or anything like that. They just are keeping informed as to what you are doing in the class. So if you choose to invite guardians to your classroom, you would type their names here. And one thing to note is that there's not a copy and paste all email addresses right now in Google Classroom. You have to do each student individually. You would invite these parents, but you also want to make sure that on your gear here under settings that you enable guardian summaries as well. And then that will allow the parents once they accept your invitation for the Google Classroom to receive email summaries. It kind of like it's almost like those weekly phone calls that you might have to do with certain students. So you might not have to do all students. What can work is if you have a student that's maybe a little far behind or maybe needs a little bit more challenge, and then you can kind of talk with the parent and be like, listen, you can sign up with Guardian emails and you can get weekly summaries on how they're doing and what work they're missing or what work they have accomplished. Um, so that is basically it on how to add a class, how to invite teachers to your class, how to invite students, and how does the guardian or parent work invite on Google Classroom.